Now, this is way too easy, right? We can't just like look at pictures and be like, oh, okay, that one's going in a positive direction and that one's going in a negative direction. It can't be that easy, really. There's got to be some numbers here, and there are. The thing is, we're not really going to use any formulas. We're going to let the computer do that. And in another video, I will show you how in the screencast. But if you take a table comparing x and y and you put it into the computer can tell you the correlation coefficient, which is a number that measures the direction and strength of the correlation between two variables. The correlation coefficient, we call it the letter R. And R is always a number between -1 and +1. If your correlation coefficient is close to +1, that means it is positive and strong. You're never going to see 1. If you had a correlation coefficient of 1, you would not be in statistics class, you would be in algebra class. But you might see, 0.8, 0.9, these are strong. 0.5 is kind of moderate. If it's close to 0, then there's probably no relationship. And if it's close to -1, it's strong and negative. So, if I told you that the correlation between attendance and grades, or rather your number of absences and your grade in an algebra class was -0.65, what would that mean? Well, that would mean that there is a relationship between how often you're absent and how often you come. It's not 0.9, it's not super strong, but 0.65 is definitely strong enough to be important.
You might want to restate that, because you said then how the number of times you're absent versus how often you come to class.
Oh.
They're the same thing.
Okay. So let's say we measure for a whole bunch of students how often they're absent from algebra class versus their final grade. I did this. The correlation was about -0.65. So the students who were absent more often got lower grades. And a correlation coefficient of negative 0.65, that's not the strongest correlation in the world. It's not a 0.8 or 0.9, but it's definitely strong enough to be important. So attendance isn't the only factor in passing algebra class, but it is important. So absences and grades, negative correlation. How about how much homework you do versus your grade? What kind of correlation do you think there would be there? I would hope that there's a positive correlation. If there isn't any correlation, then I did a bad job of picking out the homework. So the amount of homework you do versus your grades should be a positive correlation. What other things might have a correlation with your grades?